Well, all right, that does it for the opener for the Miami Hurricanes season. Not exactly the video that I want to return to after almost a year off from my channel making videos. I was excited for this game, but ultimately at the end of the day, I always kind of knew this was a possibility. Alabama beats Miami 44 to 13. I believe the spread was 19 points by the time that kickoff came around, and they end up covering that by a lot. My under the table prediction for this game before it happened, we were driving in the car a few days ago and it hit me. I was like, Alabama's going to win 45 to 14. And I didn't really voice that. I sent a few text messages to people, but I wanted to be positive. But in my head, I said that's going to be the prediction. Take 1 point off from each team. I was pretty close to predicting the score. Not at all what we wanted, though. Really, this game was over incredibly quickly. The first half told the story. The first drive told the story. The questions about Bryce Young coming in as a young quarterback, they were answered. He was 27 of 38 for 344 yards and 4 TDs. The running game for them was pretty solid. They had 38 total carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. Want to give props to Alabama fans. I was not someone who was talking trash and thinking that we were going to win, because honestly, I didn't think that we were going to win this game. I was hoping it would be a little more competitive than this, but props to Alabama for just coming in and putting the work in on us. And they, like I said, this game was over by halftime. It got to 27-0, and I pretty much knew it was over after that. Both lines, the offense and the defensive line, got bullied. They got pushed around. D'Eriq King had a couple of interceptions. Play calling at the beginning of the game that I really was not so certain about. Obviously, Rhett Lashley knows a lot more football than I ever will, and they've got people up in the boxes at the game, so they know more football than I do. But as someone sitting on the sideline watching this game, early on there were a couple of sequences where we were running the football on, I think, a second and a 3rd down and 7 we ran the ball, and it was just going nowhere. The run did not work tonight. 88 rushing yards. 12 carries for 38 yards, Cameron Harris. Chaney, 7 carries for 23 yards. It was not working, the run. And we were trying to run right up the middle. It just didn't happen. The only really good drive that we had, besides the touchdown throw that King had to Restrepo, was to start the second half. We came out and we were, moving quick. We had tempo. We had no tempo in the first half at all. Alabama just completely shut everything down that we were doing. And then in the second half, we come out, we get a good drive going, and then it gets down to the 1-yard line, and we run a very questionable 4th down and goal play where D'Eriq King gets it. I don't understand that play call. I really don't. D'Eriq King had a really good drive on that one, and then you're like, okay, well, we're going to do a QB sneak, but we're going to do it from the shotgun. It didn't make any sense. And Alabama, they shut it down there, and then there was they wanted an intentional grounding, and then they end up getting a 94-yard touchdown from Bryce Young. They came out and they just punched us in the mouth. It was very clear early on in this game there was a class difference. It wasn't like the LSU game, I feel like, from a few years ago in 2018, where I was frustrated because I didn't feel like there was a huge class difference in that one. Whereas in this one, I don't even know how you can be super frustrated with it, because it's like Alabama's so good, but we also did not play well, and the play calling was very frustrating. So that being said, congratulations to Alabama. They're dominant. There's a reason that they're the betting favorite to win the national championship again this year. They've got tons of talent. And kind of as All About the U83 said on Coop's stream, we have a lot of experienced guys, but do we have a lot of guys with experience who have won big games? And that was a big question. Today was a big game. Did not go our way, not even close. So looking ahead, what does this mean for the season? Well, referring to the Coop stream again, I don't remember if it was him or All About the U83 that said this, but they basically break the season down into 2 separate seasons. Today's game is the first season, and then the rest of the season is the second season. There is still a lot in front of us. Okay, the goals that we have for this season are not diminished by one game. North Carolina, who is supposed to be our Coastal Division rival, went down last night. And I know I sound like Al Golden when he was here. He would, well, we're in the race for the Coastal. But you can't let this game define the season. It was very disappointing, yes. Frustrating, unacceptable, all of those things. But you have to move on. And we have Appalachian State coming in next week. App State's a very good program. They are a very good group of 5 program. In 2019, they beat South Carolina and North Carolina. And if you remember, North Carolina beat us in 2019. So Appalachian State, this is not a gimme game. Appalachian State's a tough matchup for us. And then after that, Michigan State, who just beat Northwestern last night. And then you just go down the line. But the next 2 games are tough. You don't have like a gimme game until Central Connecticut on the 25th. So if something doesn't go right in these next 2 games here, it could derail the season. It appears that De'Aaron King's health is okay. He got hit on one. I think that his health is going to determine a lot of things with this season. But you've got to come out next week against Appalachian State and put up a performance that's worthwhile. Because they're a really good football team, and if you lose to them, it's not going to look good for the rest of the season. Ultimately, I wanted to hop on here and return to the YouTube channel after a year off. So Alabama, final score 44-13 over Miami. We will be back next week against Appalachian State. Hopefully we can put up a better performance than we did tonight. But congratulations again to Alabama fans. You all were the far better team tonight. As much as this one sucks, still a Miami fan. We'll still root, but we can't have another performance like that this season. I get it, Alabama's the best team in the country, but we didn't look like we deserved to be in the stadium with them today. And that's very disappointing considering where we want this program to go. So, with that being said, I will be back next week for the Appalachian State game.